Hey guys, I'm back to give another review of the latest episode of Push Girls. This was episode 7, and recently they had a marathon of all of the episodes that have been on so far, which I'm hoping doesn't mean that the show is going to end soon, because I don't want it to. So anyway, the episode started with Chelsea going to Audie and Eric's house to practice with Mia and Audie for their new dance routine that they are going to perform at the Abilities Expo. The name of their dance group is Colors in Motion, which is a spin-off of the name of the wheelchair company that all their chairs come from. It's Colors Wheelchairs, which I want a wheelchair from there so badly, so pray for me guys, because we have phone calls out. And the company sponsors them. So they're all at the house and getting ready to practice, and Chelsea goes to move Audie's table, and Mia goes to help her, but Audie tells her to stop because she wants her to do it. And she eventually does it the same way that I move large objects in my way, which is just push the chair into it and move it that way. Audie kids around with Chelsea, saying that she wants her to bring it into the front yard because she was doing so well pushing it out of the way. Chelsea says that being in the group has taught her that she can still dance, but just differently. Because after her accident, she didn't want to think about dancing. And she said that wheelchair dancing looked weird to her in the beginning. She wouldn't be where she is today without the girls. Then we go to Angela and Tiffany's house. And Angela is with the photographer, Anthony, who did our headshots. Sorry guys, I think I'm coming down with something. Anthony asks her if she's been to any auditions, and she says that she's trying to meet with agents. And he points out some of her shots that he took that would be good for some beauty shots, he said. Angela says how, she knows it's tough, to get into this field, especially being in a wheelchair, but she wants to be the one to open and knock down the doors, which I was always brought up to be that way. Now, every time Anthony opens his mouth away from Angela, he almost mocks her, and I don't like that at all. I almost don't know why she's still working with him, unless it's just like to stick it to him every time somebody does take her when she auditions. But personally, I would not work with somebody with his attitude, because every time he's away from her, he says, how the odds are against her, and then laughs when he says, but she's determined to do it. Like, there's a difference between laughing encouragingly and laughing like you're mocking somebody. Like, I've gotten laughed at in the sense of, wow, look at her, it's impressive how far she's pushing, but the way that his comes off is like he's mocking her. He doesn't believe in her and thinks she can do it. At least that's how I feel whenever he opens his mouth away from her. And for him to have no faith in her, dude, she's on her own TV show now. Hello. Then something happened that shocked me, because I would have punched him, but she hugged him. And that's one thing I've noticed about Angela, is she's a hugger. So if I ever meet her, I'm getting a hug from her. Well, when I meet her, because I'm determined to meet all these girls. Then we go back to Audie and Eric's house, and Audie, Mia, and Chelsea are all sitting around the table eating. And they're saying how it's going to be Chelsea's first show at home, the Abilities Expo in San Jose. And Chelsea says how it'll be cool for everybody to see her perform for the first time in a wheelchair, and at least locally. And Alti asks her how she felt the first time she saw herself on video dancing in the wheelchair. And, she's saying how she knows life isn't the same, and she remembers seeing herself for the first time dancing in a wheelchair. And Chelsea agrees and says, it's not bad, but it sucks to see yourself in videos, because she has home videos from the past that they play a lot of when she could dance outside of the chair. She says she still wants to be able to do the leaps and the kicks and the jumps, and when she sees people doing it, she thinks, I could do that. But her body just won't let her, because it's so engraved in her brain that she remembers exactly how to do it, but her body just won't move. She says how she wishes she could turn her paralysis off for 20 minutes and just dance, but she knows she can't. And she knows it's something that she has to, gradually get over, but it's not easy. Mia is interviewed one-on-one and says that she remembers going through exactly what Chelsea's going through. And especially at Chelsea's age, I feel like it's extra hard, because that's when most girls, I never was one to want to fit in with the crowd, but I don't know how it is to lose the ability that you once had, because I've never had it, so it never really bothered me, but I can kind of see where she would be envious of her friends still being able to walk and run, and she can't. And I think, if I remember correctly, she was the only one in the car that lost the ability to walk. But Mia also says that it's an exciting time to be able to have a lot of self-growth, and that she still remembers the first 2 weeks in rehab after her accident. All she did was cry, and she didn't sleep. She also says how the biggest challenge is the emotional part. The healing as best as you can takes time, because all the girls were pretty banged up. But the emotional side for them took even longer. OT says that the only way to get through it is to think, you know what, I'm still here, I have breath in my body, I have dance in my legs, whether they want to move or not, I'm going to make the floor move. And I say this every week, but I love OT's attitude. And she tweeted me on Twitter, and so did Tiffany. So thank you guys if you ever watch this video. Then we go to the Abilities Expo, and Tiffany calls it the mall for people with physical challenges. And I have to say thank you, Tiffany, again, for using my term, because I hate the word disabled. Then we see Chelsea acting like she has to go practice, but she was playing shy. And Tiffany says how Chelsea saw a picture of her nephew Josh and thought he was cute, and he was going to be there that day. Tiffany decided to play matchmaker because she thought they would look cute together, and because he's already used to being around somebody in a wheelchair for most of his life. Chelsea was completely surprised that Josh was there, and in the background you could see Tiffany waiting and watching them, and she was like all proud of herself. Then there was cute banter between Josh and Chelsea, and then after, Chelsea says knowing that her family and friends was there was bad enough, and then she was going to be even worse knowing Josh was there. Then we go to Angela at On Your Mark Studios, which is a casting agency. She says how it's hard enough to get a modeling job, let alone the few casting jobs that they have for people in wheelchairs. Now she says something that kind of contradicted itself, because she's been wanting to get into modeling with the wheelchair for people to see it and accept models in wheelchairs. But yet she says she wants people to see past it. Now, I kind of can understand, because I want people to see me. But if she's advocating for the wheelchair, they kind of have to see it to get the point of the whole thing. She's got a beautiful face. Regardless, she could get into modeling. That should kind of be her point, Put me out there because I'm model material. But at the same time, I'm all for her wanting the chair. But as for the people hiring her for it, it should matter. Then they start throwing website out there, and she's like, the modeling world has completely changed since she's been in it. And she asks them how many submissions they get for people in wheelchairs. In the whole year, there's been one audition at that studio with somebody in a wheelchair. Now, the fact that they let that person in, I feel like people in chairs just don't push themselves to want to step outside the box and go do it. So maybe if more stood up like Angela, well, figuratively stood up like Angela, and just went and did it, there would be more. And there would be less of a chance of people saying no, because there would be so many. How are you going to turn away that many people? And what's even better is they agreed to send an audition notice out for her to get her jobs. Susan Turner, who was one of the women talking to Angela, and I guess you could say interviewing her, she said that she would have no problem sending out her headshots for her to get hired, and she feels like more people, more agents should think outside the box and hire models with disabilities, as she called it. I'll let that one slide because she was nice. And then we go to Chelsea with all the girls minus Angela at a hotel for the Abilities Expo. Tiffany doesn't waste any time asking Chelsea if she's going to text her nephew, and she says she's not sure. Mia asks Chelsea if it makes her nervous to date again. And in her one-on-one interview, she says that being in a wheelchair, she wouldn't be able to give a guy what he wanted, like running and jumping and holding hands while they walk. Rewind to the episode of Authy and Eric walking their dog. Authy is holding the leash while Eric is holding her other hand. Cutest thing ever. Chelsea says how she feels like guys closer to the girls' ages are more mature, and all the girls look at her like, what? And they're right. Chelsea says that guys ask her if she can have sex, and all the girls say that they're just curious. But Chelsea's like, no, because they won't talk to you if you say no. And I mean, some guys are perverts, so I could see that. Mia asks the girls if she's the only one who didn't have sex before her paralysis, because she was 15 when she was paralyzed. And then, of course, Miss Tiffany asks if she ever masturbated before her accident, and Authy's like, and Mia says no, and Tiffany says that she had her first orgasm at 11 years old. Whoa, in the words of Joey Lawrence. Then Chelsea asks if any of them have ever had sex in the wheelchair, and all Authy said was, welcome to Authy and Eric's bedroom. Enough said. And she also says that just because she's paralyzed from the waist down doesn't mean that she can't orgasm, because, as she puts it, other areas become more sensitive. And then they show Tiffany stretching, and she has her legs not over her head but up in the air, and Authy goes, are you practicing or are you stretching? And Tiffany is like, stretching, but you gave me a really good idea. And then she spreads her legs. This whole episode was like full of sex. It was really funny. Then we leave the dirty talk and go to Angela, who says that because of her connections, she was able to get a photo shoot through the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation. And the photographer, Chris Volker, I think I said his name right, is in a wheelchair. When Chris first met Angela, she told him that she used to model. And he's like, what do you mean used to? And he says how the chair does not define you as a person or an artist. And that is my main point all the time. Look at the person, not the chair. Angela says how before the accident, she could make her body do whatever she wanted. She knew how to pose, what stances to do, and now she's fighting to move a body that can't move. And sometimes, in the areas that she can feel, it's painful when she's in some of the stances, and you have to not let the pain or discomfort show because it won't look sexy. And just as in her first modeling photo shoot earlier in the season, she couldn't lean forward too much because she feels like she's going to topple over because her balance is off since she is paralyzed from above the waist. Chris says that it's more difficult for her in the modeling world, but because of her tenacity and her drive, the pictures transcend anything else, which that's how it should be, especially in modeling. And she has a beautiful face, like I said. That's what should matter. Nobody should be telling her no. She feels like if more people thought outside the box, like Chris and the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation do, then her career could really take off. And I agree. And I really hope it does. Then we go to the San Jose Abilities Expo, and this is going to be Chelsea's biggest event that she's ever performed in the group. And it'll be the first time that her family sees her dance since the accident. So she's pretty nervous. And at first I thought she looked just like her mother, but then they showed her dad and she has some of his features. And that's like me with my parents. If I'm with my mom, everybody's like, oh my god, you look so much like your mom. But then when I was with my dad before he passed away, everybody would be like, oh my god, you look so much like your dad. So it depends on who you're with at the time. Her dad says that he can't express what it means for her to have the girls in her life and what it means to her mom and him that the girls are in Chelsea's life. And he's really proud to see her out there so soon after her accident. Then they show the scene where she falls. And I was preparing myself for this and I didn't look because I knew when it was coming. I'd seen it on the coming attractions. That floor was made of cement and she went back because of no wheelie bars and hit her head. Her dad rushed over. Tiffany ended up going over. I mean, the look on Tiffany's face echoed mine. It was just... And her dad said that he felt like it was a flashback to her accident. And Tiffany even said she was praying for no brain damage. That's how hard Chelsea's head hit the floor. And Tiffany asked to feel Chelsea's head, but Chelsea wouldn't let her because it hurt too much. And her mom ended up getting her an ice pack and bringing her to the bathroom. And because it hurt so bad, Chelsea wasn't sure if she was okay, but then on top of being hurt, she was more embarrassed than anything, and she didn't want to go out there. But then, she started to think about her teammates in the dance team, Mia and Authy, and she wanted to go back out there for them, which was really impressive. And Authy says that what could have turned out to be a huge setback didn't turn out that way because Chelsea decided to come back out. And the cutest look was on Josh's face, Tiffany's nephew. And again, I'm so upset that they're not together because they look really, really cute. And her dad says that it was one of his proudest moments as her dad, and she got over it quicker than he did. I mean, I don't even know Chelsea, and I was like, and Mia said that it was the perfect opportunity to go out after that happened and just get right back into it. And it was. I mean, she really proved herself. And Otzi says that, despite all the girls being like Chelsea's older sisters that she looks up to, that Otzi, after that, looked at her like she was her inspiration. And Chelsea actually spoke at the end of the event and was saying how, nothing like that had ever happened to her before, and how wheelchair dancing is different from her regular dancing, but that Otzi taught her to make the chair work for you, not you work for the chair. And she said that the fall was a first for her, but that there's going to be many more times and you just have to get back up. Which is one of my favorite philosophies about life. And Chelsea said that she knows that there's ups and downs about being in a wheelchair, and side note, I'm glad she's seeing more of the ups lately than she has in earlier episodes. And that if she gave up, she'd be a quitter, and she wasn't a quitter before, and she wasn't about to let the chair make her be a quitter. And then it was so cute. Tiffany wheels herself over to Chelsea, and she hugs her, and she cried. It was like probably a mix of the aftermath of the scared emotions and then the relief, but it was just a really cute moment between the two of them. Then there was the date with Chelsea and Josh. He got her a cute teddy bear, and he opens the door for her and all of that, and she said that it was nice that a guy wanted to sit and actually talk to her. And as I said before, I don't think they're together, and that's really upsetting to me. I hope I'm wrong. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Go to Chelsea's Twitter page, look at her pictures, or in the top pictures section, and tell me if the guy in the picture looks like him but with shorter hair. I don't think it's him though, which really, really upsets me, but I hope the guy that she is with treats her well. That's it for this recap. I'll see you guys next week. Subscribe to my channel if you like this video, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.